And we are live. This is Travis Witherspoon from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. What just happened? Uh, huh? Did that post? What is going on? Hold on. I'm gonna refresh real quick. Let's see. We'll try this one more time. Okay. Hey, hope everybody's doing very well. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. This is another evening episode of Trade with Travis, where we end up going through and taking a look at some of the trade opportunities that end up happening a little bit earlier today. Being able to see if we can be able to have some trading opportunities that we can be able to get into for its overall movements and everything else like that today. So, if you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more, when it comes down to that, you can either direct message me or, if you want to be able to learn a little bit more, stay inside of the chat. Make sure that you end up tapping in. Hey, and make sure you end up clicking on that boost button. It also ends up helping out what we end up doing from an overall standpoint of being visible. And also, keep in mind, if you want to be, or if you're interested in being able to continue the conversation when it comes down to that, you can be able to hop into our public Discord that we end up talking about. I get some more information about that as we go along. So, Casey, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. As we get started, for the people that are hopping in side of the stream, make sure that you end up typing in what type of day you had: green day, red day, or neutral, or a green day, red day, or stay away. Green day is obviously you end up making money. Red day means that you end up taking a little bit of loss. Stay away means that you didn't necessarily take a trade. I'm going to end up typing in mine. Today was a green day. Absolutely. I end up having a pretty good day based off of the trades that we end up taking in yesterday's, last night's live session. So if you end up going into last night's live session, or if you missed it and you end up and you was inside of our Discord, then obviously you would end up getting that trade placed out as soon as we end up placing it in. So um, there we go. Let's go ahead and get everything else situated with that. So let's go ahead and go through the disclaimer, get that out the way, and then after that we can go ahead and move forward. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you end up making money today. So, with that being said, as we go through and take a look at the economic calendar earlier today, what ended up happening was that we ended up having a lot of news from the pound when it came down to the market. And then after that, we had a real large spike that ended up happening right around 2 o'clock for United States dollar. I don't know why that happened. I still don't know why that happened, but it just did. When it came down to that movement, we'll talk about that as well. But climate count change ended up being negative 25, or ended up being 25%, which was not necessarily the number that they were looking for. Unemployment rate was 3.5, was a little bit better than the 3.6 number that they was expecting. We ended up having Chairman Jordan end up speaking for the Swiss franc, and we end up having Governor Bailey end up speaking at 2:35, and I think that might be the reason why the market actually ended up moving based off of whatever information that he ended up saying. Now going into tomorrow, tomorrow, what we're going to end up having is PPIs, which is going to end up being for food and energy for the United States. And then after that, President Lagarde is going to end up speaking. I'm sorry, FOMC meeting minutes is going to end up happening at 2 o'clock. So, with that being said, it kind of makes sense why the market wasn't necessarily making a lot of movement today, and why the market actually ended up having a hard time trying to be able to break inside of our positions for take profit earlier today as well. Primarily because the FOMC meeting minutes is coming out, which means that Jerome Powell is going to end up speaking again tomorrow. So we got to pay attention to what's going to end up being said at 2 o'clock and how the market's going to react. Talk about the game plan. Game plan is very simple. Anytime that we end up having high impact news, wait 15 minutes to be able to see what the news is actually going to end up being before being able to jump inside of that movement. So um, let's do this. Let's talk about, I want to primarily talk about what ended up happening first on the trades that we end up taking. Then after that, we'll jump into the big three. So yesterday, what we end up talking about what we end up talking about, what's going on, Block, green day, red day, how you end up doing? Green day or red day, how you end up doing? And also, did you get that message on the Discord where I end up saying get out of the trade earlier this morning? Just want to make sure everything is firing correctly. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. One second. Let's see. I'm doing something real quick. I'm trying to make sure I end up sending the message. Uh, all right. So, what ended up happening was this earlier. Green Day are still in the three short trades from the algo, currently trailing profits. Nice. So obviously we ended up talking about this trade that ended up happening a little bit earlier um, today on earlier yesterday on Nas. What ended up happening was that we ended up having that big drop right at 9 o'clock when the market actually ended up making that movement, and that placed us in a pretty good position to feel comfortable about how the market kind of reacted. I'm sorry, let me bring this up because it was something to the extent of we got in at 10,009, blah, blah, blah. What was it? 10,009.10. Hold on. I give you a direct answer real quick. What was that number? Let's see. Entry was at 10,009.10. Let's see. Okay, I remember it now. So 10,009.10 was the entry. This is now it's 100. So why is it looking like that? I wish I would never changed my boxes. Oh, so got in at 10,910. Once the market ended up dropping down, we had a stop loss of 11,015 and a take profit of 10,400. Once the market ended up falling, it ended up falling right here, I believe. No, it was right here when the market actually ended up falling eventually or initially. It dropped, gave us about a 40-point move, and then after that, consolidated while we were sleeping, fell down one time. And my biggest thing was that I was kind of at a point where I was like, if the market does not break below that overall low right there and continue to keep on moving with force, then I was going to end up getting out. Well, earlier during the morning, what I ended up seeing was that we ended up seeing that the market hesitated in being able to push. We ended up seeing that the buyers ended up pushing it up. And also, what I ended up noticing was that while this was going on, I ended up seeing a large number of I've seen a large number of traders or a large number of volume right here in this area when the market fell down and went towards this number and bounced right back up. This was where we end up taking a look at it. No, I'm sorry. This was where we end up taking a look at it this morning when it actually ended up falling down. That's when I ended up giving the signal to be able to give out because there was no reason to be able to stay in, especially if we end up having a large order block of people that's just saying, hey, we're not going to let this thing be able to move. So popped right back up, went back up to the resistance, fell back down based off of news. I'm guessing that's based off of what ended up happening in Germany and the news that ended up happening inside of that area. And then after that, since then, the market has been popping back up. Now, keep this in mind. What this is actually creating, and I see it now, is a channel that's actually going to the downside. Now, we've been seeing channels pretty much on every Forex pair at this particular point. Um, so I am kind of curious on how the market is going to end up reacting this overall based off of this because we don't have like a true consolidation point at this point that we can be able to say, hey, we got a consolidation, we got a true breakout. I just been seeing mainly this for its overall movement to the downside. So I do expect that the market will push back up. If it remains to stay at the status quo on how it's moving, you'll see here fall down, eventually end up pushing back up right there, fall down. If we stay on the same angle, we'll probably push back up, and then after that, we have to make a decision to be able to see if this thing is going to keep on falling down to the downside. Now, obviously, FOMC is going to end up happening at 2 o'clock. So I expect from that 2:15 to right around that 4:30 time, we'll truly have an answer on what's happening. This also means that I would not be interested in taking a trade tonight. I do want to see how the market is going to react going into tomorrow morning in the live trading at the beginning of the morning, the consolidated movement that's going to happen during the midday, and then after that, what's going to happen after the fact when it comes down to movement. So if you end up taking profit on that one earlier this morning, again, congratulations. You end up making a pretty good, I think, right around 80 to 90 points on this one. Oh, I'm sorry, it's actually more than 80 to 90 points on that one. It was probably, I think it was what 110 that I ended up making off of it. Just points wise, that's not counting leverage and everything else. So it's a solid move on that one. The other one that we ended up taking was XPX 500. XPX 500 was at 3608. We ended up having a stop loss of 35 or 36, 56. And then after that, we end up having our take profit be at 3,500. Same deal, large order block. Market ended up pushing down to that area. As soon as that ended up happening, you can see right where it ended up touching off, there was a large order block that I did not pay attention to when I first called this out. I probably would have just called to say, hey, let's get out of this overall area and try to see if we can maximize that number. And I make sure that I keep up the values on the side so I can be able to ensure that everybody can be able to get out right at the right point. But essentially, this triple bottom and then started to push back up. This one is actually showing a little bit better of a consolidation area to be able to focus in on. That consolidation area, when it comes down to this point, is actually from here to right there. So we can see that one kind of build out a little bit more. It's only done hit at the top twice, so we can kind of go back to that strategy 4 type of thought process when it comes down to being able to get into this. If you don't understand what strategy 4 is when it comes down to the vortex strategy, then please make sure that you end up sending me a personal message. Obviously, we can get you set up inside of one of those free courses to be able to talk about that and be able to go from there. But I do expect that what probably might end up happening is that we may see that this market will eventually get up to 36.15, and then after that, try to push up to the 36.35 area. If this happens before FOMC and the market doesn't push out of this overall zone, then I would be interested in being able to take a sell up there to be able to ride it all the way down to the bottom side and place in another sell at the bottom. But currently right now, no plan as of yet when it comes down to this trade. We'll talk about this one in the morning and being able to see how the market kind of plays out on that one. Okay, type in a while, yes, if that makes sense. If you have any questions on the 2 trades that we end up taking today, you end up taking just those trades alone, should have been right around 180 points overall. 180 points overall in profit. Heck, you really think about that, that pays for the elite package if you end up doing it like that. That one trade right then and there, bam, there it is. All right, and you really think about it. Okay, what's kind of funny is the first day that I ended up talking about or bringing out the Discord, we ended up getting into that trade on what was it, US 30, when the market ended up falling about 700 points. So we done had a little bit of a roll in October. Obviously, I love October when it comes down to trading, but we've been doing okay when it comes down to that movement. Let's go ahead and get into the big 3 real quick. Come on. Block, how your cryptocurrency end up doing today? What's going on? Come here. Okay. We'll start off with gold. Gold fell out of consolidation, but fell back inside of this overall consolidation that we end up having when we end up taking a trade at 16.15 all the way down. I mean, taking a trade at 16.60, I believe, somewhere around there, before the market ended up falling out a few days ago. So essentially, what we're getting is basically that same consolidation box, which means that we have a high volume node area that we need to pay attention to right inside of this area. The market ends up falling down on this one, it's basically essentially the same trade that we end up taking before, which is, I'm just going to move this over or copy it. Basically end up being just all the way to 1650 and 15 again, if that does happen. I want to see how strong or weak the dollar is going to end up being. Obviously, the dollar is inside of the sell zone, so we should see that the market should have had a little bit of a retracement for its overall movement today, but don't know yet until I actually look at the chart. But I do expect for the market to be able to pop up a little bit. I actually hope that it pops up first before actually being able to go down. Then I make it a third time being able to hit, and then after that, looking at being able to fall to the downside from that. But same game plan will end up being, it'll probably pretty much be the same game plan when it comes down to trading this one. Entry will be right around 1662. Stop loss will be above 1685. Take profit will be right around 1615 if that does happen. Just a lot of consolidation, no real direction. BTC broke 18, 18, and back to that 19 area. Okay. Wasn't that what we expected? Pretty much, right? It really hasn't had that much of a move yet. Yeah. Um, oil. Oil. I am done with oil until the market actually ends up having a little bit of a retracement. Um, Currently, right now, we end up taking a trade on this one when the market broke above 82.96. Our thought process was to be able to take it all the way up to 95 or 94.50, 94.59. Um, we had a couple take profit areas while the market actually ended up moving. First take profit area was 87.26. Second profit area was at 89.63. Third take profit area was at 94.59. Has not necessarily had a movement as yet. That is scary to be able to think of, that cryptocurrency has been less volatile than Dow Jones. But I like volatility, so it is what it is when it comes down to that with me. But give me volatility and give me an overall area to where I can be able to find the natural support and resistance, and I'll be a happy trader. Um, from a daily perspective, from a weekly perspective, the market is definitely in the buy zone. It's ready to be able to move. From a daily perspective, the market needs to retrace a little bit before being able to make a move. So remember, we're in the second day or third day of a retracement phase. We typically have 7 to 11 days before the market truly makes a move. So there's really nothing to be able to do on oil as of yet. So I'm going to wait before being able to make a move off of that one. U.S. dollar index. U.S. dollar index keeps on steady climbing, keeps on trying to push past its overall evening star candlestick that we end up having last week. Remember, the weekly ended up hitting the daily D extension at 13,512. And then after that, since then, the market has not had a true fractal low to be able to happen within that overall movement yet. Now, FOMC may be the catalyst to be able to see that the market may end up pushing down. I wouldn't bank on being able to place a lot of money on that idea, but the thought process was, and we talked about this earlier yesterday, and I didn't take a trade on it. Go figure. Um, this was a ascending triangle. Ascending triangle is just like getting onto a roller coaster or getting into the top portion of a roller coaster for people that are new and being able to watch this. But essentially, what happens is that you have your big push, his support, big push, his support, and then after that, it starts getting very volatile, and everything else like that starts to slow down. Once you end up getting into a top of a roller coaster, and you know how you end up going downhill off of that, you end up having that big drop first, and then after that, there will be a retest. So this one ended up having a breakout. Then it had a retest, but the retest went above this overall high when it comes down to this movement, which means to me that this market is not ready to be able to fall as of yet. And because of that, it's not a ascending wedge anymore or ascending triangle anymore. At this particular point now, we can almost consider this to be a channel. Right? It end up being basically a channel when it comes down to that movement. Yes, sir. I learned that from your YouTube video. I appreciate that. That one must have been how to be able to spot out direction or not the the dang it, which one was it? I didn't did a few videos off of that. What video was that? I know I ended up doing it recently. Was that the how to find direction in the market? What's that to find the how to find direction in the market? I think it might have been that one. If that's the case, I'm going to place that one inside of the chat box for people to be able to learn off of that. That's something that you may be interested in. There it is right there. But with that being said, United States dollar, once again, FOMC is going to end up coming out tomorrow. So I do expect nothing to be able to happen overnight unless there's just something crazy that may end up happening. So we'll just kind of stay away from it until what happens at 8:30, 9:30, and then after that, 2 o'clock. 2:15 to be exact. Okay, so nothing when it comes down to that movement as of yet. US 30, US 30 is inside of consolidation. Natural support is at 29,50 or 29,050. Resistance is at 29,600. Currently, right now, market is waving back up to the upside. Gives us an opportunity to be able to catch a strategy forward type of trade if that does happen. But that means that we'll have to see legitimately a big move to the upside. Now, keep this in mind: the market's been very volatile when it comes down to economic news over the course of the last legitimately about 6 months, but especially over the course of the last 2.5 months. Whether if it's Jerome Powell talking and then making the market move 300 or 400 points in one direction off the first movement, and then after that, kind of go from there. Yep, that's the exact link that I ended up placing there. Block, yeah, exact one that I ended up placing there. But ultimately, what I do expect is that if you just play the outsides of this overall move, I think that you'll feel comfortable with being able to get out right around that 28,550 area that we ended up talking about a little bit earlier. So we have to adjust our overall areas where I think that we should be able to get in. I'm going to say 2950 will probably be 2950 will probably end up being the area where I would like to be able to get in. I don't know about 326 points for its overall risk. I would kind of look and see what would be the last U-turn before that actually happens, so you can get a better number. But essentially, ultimately, what we're trying to do is trying to get into this move right around this area. I would look at, matter of fact, 29,550 doesn't seem like an optimal number to be able to get out at, because I don't know if y'all noticed, we got 4.394 million when it comes down to that area. So I would rather get out now before that. So 29, let's say 29,630, that would be basically that last support when it comes down to that fall. I'm not going to place that in as a pending order until I end up getting some more information. I might end up placing that in as a pending order tomorrow morning. People on the Discord, you'll get that first, obviously. Let's see. Last one, let's end off with DAX. DAX has built out a larger consolidation block. Market has fell down to support again. The natural support, when it comes down to this one, we're going to change because now we have 3 different areas where it's going to hit the bottom. So if we're going to end up getting into a sale safely, it'll end up being right around 12,100. The resistance on this one's at 12,400. But we actually have a consolidation inside of a consolidation at this particular point, which is right here. Matter of fact, and I wouldn't call this whole thing consolidation. I'll call it, well, no, we're gonna have to treat that as a large consolidation area. So natural support entry will be right around 12,100. Take profit. If it breaks to that, I will look at being able to get out at the previous support area of this last consolidation that we end up having from September 27th to October 4th. So essentially, what it will look like will end up being this trade right here, here down to there. You want to be conservative, place it at the top of the natural resistance. You want to be a little bit more aggressive. You'll place it right above the swing high to give you a better risk reward factor. Currently, right now, because of the news, I would say I'll be a little bit more conservative off of this one if I'm going to take that trade. The market pushes up to the upside. If the market pushes back up to the upside, then pretty much we had that same trade that we ended up looking at on August 30th that never got triggered. So it ended up being from this trade right here. I copy that, and where did it go? Where did it go? Unlock. It'll pretty much be something like that. More information tells me that we want to be able to get out at 12,530. 12,530 we end up being to take profit. Stop loss, don't know yet. I have to get a little bit more closer and see what a swing, see what a U-turn would end up being. But that would be the orders that I would look at being able to place in. Okay, so that is it for today. Unless somebody has a trading pair that they would like to be able to take a look at. Tonight, we don't have a trade. Not interested in being able to jump in tonight. There's really nothing to be able to do. We've got to pay attention to see what's going to happen with FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow, right around noon. Do not try to bet the farm on a movement at 9:30 tomorrow. The movement that you will probably end up getting will just be a continuation or an ending movement of a Fibonacci, a short-term Fibonacci, and then after that, if the market is actually moving through consolidation, you'll probably see that it probably might end up pushing all the way up to the resistance and give you a chance to be able to take a trade to the downside if the market is truly bearish. Now, keep in mind, the United States dollar index is getting into the sell zone, and we're looking for the market to be able to eventually fall. If the market falls, then that means that the indexes go up. If the market keeps on rising up, then that means that the indexes will keep on falling. So we want to see how the market is going to end up reacting based off of that. But ultimately, it's really nothing to be able to do at this particular point, and just be patient. All right, don't throw your money in right now until there's actually a great move to be able to get into. If you like what I end up doing, please click on that boost button. Please make sure that you end up liking, sharing, and following if you want to when it comes down to all of our other platforms. And also, please make sure that you end up joining the community Discord that we end up having, so you can be able to get a lot more information. I have a wealth of information inside of this overall area, not public and private areas. That includes a private collection of almost 200 books that you can be able to choose from and be able to learn from. So if you're struggling on anything, consolidation, candlesticks, mentality and mindset, anything else like that, we have something for you when it comes down to that. Obviously, we're still growing when it comes down to the group, but once we end up getting to a point to where we're up and rolling and everybody's in there, we can be able to have full discussions and conversations and everything else like that. It'll definitely be worth the overall small investment that you end up placing in. All right, like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade, trading your plan. Everyone, y'all end up having a good night tonight. Also, just keep your head on the swivel when it comes down to that group. All right, take it easy.